Well, it's day 3 of the 2023 Rugby World Cup out in France, which of course kicked off with the French winning in some fashion on Friday night in Paris. The action continuing yesterday with Italy, Ireland, the Wallabies and England winning their opening matches as well. But today is the big day for South Africans because the defending champions, the Springboks, will be opening their account against what is expected to be a tricky Scotland outfit. That match is set to be kicking off at 17:45. For more on this, I'm joined in studio by veteran broadcaster David O'Sullivan, who, of course, has written the life story of Rassie Erasmus, the man who won us the 2019 World Cup. But we also have via Zoom World Rugby Hall of Fame inductee Kennedy Tsimba. Gentlemen, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. David, thank you for coming up this early to join us. And Kennedy, thank you as well for getting up. Kennedy, I want to start with you, because I want to just dive right into rugby matters. The last 2 days that we've had of this action, some very high-scoring matches that we've seen, you know, 2 of them involving Ireland and Italy. Are we set up for probably the most exciting Rugby World Cup ever?
Yes, morning, gentlemen. Yes, it's definitely going to be the most exciting World Cup because you can just see that with the rankings have moved in just before the World Cup. That just shows you that every side is going to be a contender, and just some of the results that were in day 2 have really been very interesting, and that makes for a good World Cup to come.
David, this book that you've written, Rassie, Stories of Life and Rugby, this man has really walked the path of this game of rugby, and it all culminated in him bringing back what is a historic world title in 2019. I mean, when you decided that you're going to delve into his life and really share exactly who Rassie Erasmus is, you know, not the Rassie that we're picking up on social media that is always, you know, irritating world rugby, not the Rassie that we've come to learn on the rugby field and his tactics, but the Rassie that we maybe don't know about. I mean, when you delved into this man's life, what is it that you came to find?
Well, I found, Morena, that he's a very shy, introverted man, and I know that a lot of the viewers will be saying that can't possibly be true, but it is true. But I've also learned, and Kennedy will know it well, having worked with Rassie at the Cheetahs, that he hyper-focuses on rugby. He analyses everything into minute detail. So, you know, going into the Scotland game, he's got spreadsheets on each of those Scottish players, and he's got tactics and plays worked out in order to neutralise them. He will have studied this for a very long time, and also he will have targeted the various games. In the book, we detail how he planned the 2019 World Cup. It took him 2 years to plan it, and which teams he was going to target and how, and what eventualities. Should we lose to New Zealand in the opening round, as we did in 2019? Italy's the big game. Focus on that. Make sure he understands it. So he will have got a scenario for beating Scotland, and one in case we lose. Then Ireland becomes the key game. But what you do know, there's a roadmap, his word all the time, roadmap, all figured out to get us to holding the Webb Ellis Cup one more time.
Kennedy, you can have a roadmap as a head coach or as a director of rugby going into a World Cup tournament, going to your opening match, but it's all about what happens on that field between 30 men, you know, the emotion, the thought process. You've got, you know, Libok and Finn, who are marshalling both of their teams. They're already thinking their own things when they're under pressure. They're not thinking about this roadmap, you know, that Rassie Erasmus and Jacques Nienaber have laid out for them. How important is it, this roadmap that David speaks of, when we're looking at a World Cup tournament, considering what happens in the heat of the moment?
Yeah, it's so crucial, the roadmap, and it's important, as Dave rightly said, that coaches that plan for every possible scenario are always going to be the better coaches. And I think that's what Rassie and Jacques have shown over the years. Throughout the Lion series, throughout the build-up to the World Cup, there was a lot of questions about the different tactics that they were using, but I think those were scenarios to prepare them for this big day. And I think Scotland is going to be a real tester. There's a lot of old South Africans that are playing for Scotland that are going to try show that they should have been on the other side of the field. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plans out. For me, that number 10 battle, Finn Russell, one of the best fly-offs around going, is going to meet Manie Libbok, who's really shown great potential at that URC level. This is the World Cup. It's a different picture. So there's going to be a lot of different questions asked today. And that's what's exciting about today's matches.
Morena, if I could pick up on that, because the issue of can the player play in the heat of the moment, as you, the scenario you described. When Rassie was a player, and he played in the Currie Cup final, his very last game as a player, he saw some of his teammates, Cheetah's teammates, fall away. The big match, it was too big for them. And when he became the coach, he realized what he needed to do is give players experience. So in the big match, they were still going to be present. They would still be able to think. And what he did then was he planned for a World Cup victory in 2023. Back in 2018, he said, we'll win in 2023. 2019, to use his words, and Jacques Nienaber's, we got lucky. But he's now groomed a whole lot of players who know what it's like to play the biggest match of your life, a World Cup final. So big match temperament, they've all got it.
And that's what I was going to ask you. You know, without giving away too much of the book, because we're hoping that people can go out and get it and really understand the story of Rassie, 2023 is exactly what he was planning for.
Yeah.
He wasn't planning, when he walked in 2018, he wasn't looking at 2019, he wanted this. But now, what's the confidence in terms of actually winning this tournament?
It's through the roof. But what it also is, it's tempered with a lot of understanding of what you need to get. So we're not in danger of being overconfident with this core group of players. But somebody like Siya Kolisi, whose absence was so much felt by the team, he said they were feeling a little disjointed because Siya wasn't present. But that core strength of players, and then the youngsters like Kanan Moody and Kurtley Arends are coming through, they feed off that energy. So while there's a great degree of confidence, as I say, it's not overconfidence that we've got. But these guys are all up for it now. They're ready.
We can only but hope they are. He brings two very important players, I think, Kennedy, Kurtley Arends and Kanan Moody. These men are probably going to have their greatest experience in their rugby career in this particular tournament, as they are now joining in as youngsters a defending champion team. How important is it going to be for them to keep cool heads on their shoulders?
Yeah, and two very important players, and it's good to always come into a structure that's stable, that has got a lot of experience, and they've got players that are going to guide them around. And you know, they've shown their worth, and I'm very, very excited of, obviously, Bulls players they're going to be, you know, donning that great stage, and it's going to be one of the matches that I think everyone has been looking forward to. There has been some, you know, close matches, but I think the Scotland Springbok match has always been tipped to be the game that sort of decides this game of well, group of death, as you put it.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I wish we could have had more time, but you know what? This is where we are with it. Thank you very much for joining me for this conversation. And I'm not going to put your guys' heads on the blocks because I love doing that in terms of predictions, but we will just allow Siya Kolisi, Jacques Nienaber, Rassie Erasmus and the team to just surprise us in terms of what it is they're going to be performing. But of course, thank you very much for coming through, David. Thank you very much, World Rugby Hall of Fame inductee Kennedy Tsimba, for joining us. Of course, those were my two guests this morning. We're just talking about what we can expect from 1745. That's according to 6 tonight, when the reigning champions of the world, the Springboks, begin the defense of their title. And we can only but hope that this is the first of many victories in this tournament that'll see them become the first team to win 4 world titles come November of 2023.